All right, let's have the call to order of the Town of Charlton Water Sewer Commission for November 23rd, 2020. Public forum, anybody here from public?
Not at this time.
Hearing none, moving on. Paul, you on?
I am.
Want to handle the warrants, abatements, and agenda?
Yeah, I would first like to make a motion to approve the minutes of November 9th as written.
Second the motion.
Want to hear a second?
Second, Phil.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
I would next like to make a motion to approve the following warrants. For the FM generator, that we approved of 8/24, 2020, $787.50. And again, for the FM generator again, also approved the same day, $887.50. Then Massachusetts Water Works, $50. And McClure Engineering, Waterline Construction, $1,397.50. And the next 9 are all from Veolia. The blower upgrade that we approved 8/24 also, $8,566.86. Next, we troubleshoot the exhaust fans for the plant, $308.19. Again, Veolia removed the grease buildup from 146 Glen Echo, $150. And Burlingame Pump Station, floats not working, $777.77. Again, Veolia PAC coagulant, $3,671.41. And Glen Echo float issues, $205.46. And Colmac sludge pump 3, $308.19. And SCADA PLC failure, $308.22. And lastly, from Veolia, metal testings pilot, $277 even, for a grand total of $17,695.60.
Do I hear a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? Roll call vote.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
One question before we go on. I just want to make sure, is the McClure bill for waterline construction reimbursable to us?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Peter, is that PLC the one that went down, or is another one that went down?
That's a different, that was probably just overtime or one of the subs to come in. Well, that's probably Veolia passing through a LaFleur electric bill for when they came out and reset that PLC. That's
Yeah, that was last month. Okay, I just was trying to figure it out.
Okay, we're good. Scheduled appointments, 6:35. Veolia, is Vinny on?
Vinny is not on yet.
He's not on yet.
Oh, wait,
We'll
hold
move on
on.
to something else, Peter.
Sure. Why don't we go ahead and move on to new business? We have the treehouse site plan. Bob Mackey is on from Beta, but I'm not sure if he's waiting on Kendra as well to go over the scope of work for the water master plan grant. Bob, are you gonna wait? Is Kendra coming
Peter.
also, or is it just you?
Kendra was going to join, but I can jump in if the board would have some time.
Um,
Vinny just texted me. I sent him the link. I think he might have been on the wrong link.
Okay,
So he's trying now.
okay.
I'll wait in the wings until you're ready for me.
All right. Thank you, Bob. So I guess while we wait for Vinny, if you want to just go to the treehouse site plan. Not that there's a lot to it, but planning board does send us most of the site plans that they get in front of them for your comments. The ones that don't have any municipal water or sewer, I don't bother forwarding, but this one is a new 6,000 square foot equipment building. They're looking to do off of their main access driveway up near Route 20, be on the westbound side of it. As you can see, they do have a sewer connection, and they also have a potable water and a fire suppression water line connected to the building. I don't see any real concerns with it as far as the department goes, but I did want to submit it to you guys for review just to make sure that you were okay with it as well. Or if there are any comments, let me know and I can forward them to the planning board from the commission.
Assuming, Peter, all Title V regulations will apply to this building. Is that what will happen as far as charges go?
Well, no, because they pay a set amount for a set gallons per day. So it's not like the betterment for everyone else that you do. This is the one, because remember you just up their maximum daily flow from 7,500 gallons per day to 10. So that supersedes the EDU calculation.
Okay.
So once that testing period at 10,000 gallons per day is over, we'll assess them that $102,000 betterment or privilege fee at that time. But even they'll have to put a meter on this building, and we'll have to track that as well towards their 10,000 gallons per day cap. So they have paid for it.
Okay.
For that capacity.
You see any problems with them doing this building as far as we're concerned?
No, I don't see any issues with it. Again, they're going to have an oil water separator for the floor drains that'll have to be installed that will go into the sewer. Other than that, that's really my major concern for any of these commercial buildings where the floor drains connect to the sewer system. So, but I mean, the water line is in the roadway, so is the sewer line. They're going to be making all the connections. We'll do the inspections, and it should be pretty straightforward.
Do we know if that's dumping into their anaerobic system first, or is it coming straight to us?
This will just come straight to us.
That's what I thought. Because it's on the lower end of it, yeah.
Yes.
Pump up, if not. Do we know what's going in that equipment building?
I believe it's just storage.
Just storage.
They may have to put 1 or 2 bathrooms to meet code. Other than that, it's just going to be an equipment building. It's got 1, 2, 3. It's got 5 overhead doors across the front of it. So as of now, the proposed use is just storage, equipment storage.
Yeah. I'm a little leery of those floor drains, but that's life.
Yes, me too. But unfortunately, the plumbing code requires them to be put into the sewer if available or to a tight tank.
And so,
In the past, we haven't required anybody else to go into a tight tank only. So, and I believe all other communities allow this to happen as well. So,
okay.
if there is no comments, we can. I'll just let the planning board know that we discussed it and that the commission has no comments at this time.
Perfect. Do you want to move on to the water line scoop, or is Vinny on?
I believe Vinny's on.
Yeah, Pete, I'm on.
All right, hi Vinny.
Hi, Vinny.
So yeah, if you want to back up, we can go ahead and back up to the 6:35 appointment for Violi to discuss the October monthly operating report.
Let's do it. Go ahead, Vinny.
All right. So the monthly operating report for October. I'm just going to skip down to the health and safety spot. We had an employee who strained his back. It happened while he was descending a fixed ladder from the UV platform. His foot slipped off the step. So to make sure this didn't happen again, we replaced all the grip tape. We put carpets below so you can wipe your feet before you go up the ladders. We also created a monthly inspection for all fixed ladders and portable, so we can check the integrity of them and make sure there's no problems in the future. The monthly safety checklists were all completed. Common areas were cleaned daily, sanitized. training. Veolia enrolled all employees in that VNA University. We all completed the cybersecurity to anti-harassment and the use of internet and social networking. Security essentials. Veolia employees in Charlton have now completed all of them. October's safety training was on electrical safety. It was training for unqualified employees. Everybody here completed it with passing scores. TAC pilot continued through the month of October. We got all of our DMR QA 40 proficiency testing results in, and none of the labs had any problems. They all passed. Charlton received 100% accuracy on the sample we reported on. There were no exceedances during the month of October. The aluminum levels are still above permit, but the administrative order kept us from having a violation. We've made 2 dose adjustments in the month of October to bring it down to 120 ppmv. And even to this day, we're still playing with that dose, trying to get it as low as possible. Operations and maintenance activities. Comag sludge wasting system had a VFD failure. We ordered that through a preferred vendor and it came in last week. We contacted 2 different companies about maintenance software, a better way of tracking what we're actually doing. We got quotes from them and we submitted them, and hopefully if there was any grant money left, it can be purchased. We had 2 different companies out to look at the PLC and the SCADA project. The companies were NIC Systems and Harbor Controls. They both came out, toured the plant, assessed what we have for equipment, and they're both working on proposals for replacing the PLCs and giving us some additional functionality. We conducted RBC proficiency testing twice this month. It's not something we regularly do, but we found a couple of RBCs that weren't really treating as well as they should have. So we do the proficiency test to see which ones it is, and we adjust the flow based on those findings. And then we went back and checked again to make sure they were doing what they were supposed to. EQ tank 3 had a bearing failure in the blower, and we actually overhauled that blower in-house, saving thousands of dollars on a replacement one. I mean, the parts for it were minimal expense. We installed the new shutoff valve on the Comag Train 2 clarifier. There's a picture of it attached in your report there. And what this did for us is there was always a hose attachment there so we could hook a garden hose up. But anytime we would try to flush the sludge lines with it, it would just blow back into the clarifier. So we couldn't build no pressure up. So with that new shutoff valve, we can isolate the clarifier and we can force water up through the sludge pumps to clean them out. So it's really been helpful since we installed that. Moving down to the collection system activities. All the pump station alarm tests were completed. The pump station monthly full load generators were exercised. 5 East had a high level alarm. It was caused by a plugged up level sensor. And those level sensors, they use bubblers. They just bubble out a little bit of air constantly and they measure the resistance of it. And we cleared the obstruction and we check it at least once a week now, where before there was no regimented inspections of them. As far as grinder pump calls go, we had a call on 1021 to 165 Sunset. It looked like the float was hanging up. When we got there, it wasn't an alarm or anything, so we just adjusted the floats a little bit and assumed that was the problem. It happened again, so we were back out there on 1027, and I spoke with the homeowner, and they had some concerns that the pumps really weren't lasting long, and they had had several issues. So we had Slims come out and suck the tank out so we could look in it for grit. We didn't notice any, but we still put some RTV sealant on the lid because the lid is flush with the ground, so any groundwater during heavy rains could wash stuff through a gasket that wasn't working. Dig safes, we had 54 dig safe requests come in for the month of October. And then moving down to the additional remarks. The EPA responded to a question we had about the expiring administrative order. The way the order was written, the town of Charlton must be back in compliance with zinc and aluminum limits at the end of October. If there are still issues, they stated they'll help us work it out moving forward. We had LaFleur Electric out here to troubleshoot an EQ pump that kept having an over temp issue. And this was on one of them new pumps that we had recently put in. He found a bad connection inside the MCC panel, cleaned it up, put it back together, and we've been utilizing that pump ever since. While he was here, I talked to him a little bit about the upcoming PLC upgrade and what his thoughts were, because he's a very experienced electrician, and I was just looking for some other input. And he stated that we have a lot of equipment that is no longer utilized in those panels. And on his recommendation, he said we should start moving out that stuff that's no longer used to make room for when they're ready to do the upgrade. And today I actually talked with the owner of Harbor Controls, and he said he's gonna talk to LaFleur and see if they can come up with a bid together. So then we'll have multiple bids on this, both of them covering plenty of work. And that concludes the MOR for the month of October. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Vinny, just one question. So on the aluminum limits, which are at the end of October, where does
Yes.
that leave us?
That leaves us at, we've been doing a bunch of extra testing. We've been changing the doses every couple of days, just seeing where we can go with it. And we're still really fighting it, Phil. It's not the easiest limit to meet. The good
Yeah.
news is that our zinc levels are excellent.
Yeah, that was one of my original concerns when we got into the zinc project. Okay,
Right.
so I mean, hopefully they'll either increase our limits, that letter that went off a couple weeks ago from John, or you know, we look like we're gonna have to do something else.
When I spoke with Doug Koopman at the EPA, he made it sound like there's a bunch of other plants that are fighting the same battle with the zinc limits.
I remember you talking about that, yeah.
Right, and he said the ones that have switched over to PAC, they've been kind of lenient with the aluminum limits with them. He didn't, say for sure, you can be 100 parts per million over or give an exact figure, but he said they are showing leniency on the aluminum. So I guess we're going to find out at some point.
Peter, what's your take on that one?
I think we just have to keep going on the path that we're on for now until we get pushback or resistance from the EPA. We're taking small steps, doing the best we can with what we have, and I think they'll take that into consideration. And if they want us to do anything else, they'll definitely let us know. So I think for now we just keep on the course that we're on until we kind of get redirected, or they want us to do something different or more or anything like that.
Can they fine us for defying an administrative order?
Well, the administrative order expired, because the administrative order is what allowed us to not have a limit for aluminum. So the administrative order is kind of gone because now we have to meet our current discharge permit, our NIPD's permit limits. So I think we've shown good faith doing what we've done by trying to be proactive and make the changes that you've made, and we're trying to make the plant run as efficiently as possible. We've done some work out in the collection system, and I think they take all that into consideration. And again, I don't think they're looking to come down with a heavy fist to make any points or do anything like that. I think if they gave us the warning 3 months ago and we just sat on our hands and did nothing, then they'd probably take the next step. But I think for now, like I said, with Vinny still making changes and trying to get the dosing correct,
Absolutely.
I think we can kind of just, be patient and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't believe that there's any risk of being fined or anything that serious at this point.
Okay, well, that's significant in itself.
Yeah.
One other question. I mean, I see a maximum daily flow rate up to 336, okay, versus 185 on an average. Is that during a rain time? Is that do we know what makes that huge difference? It's almost double.
That is, it's usually at a peak flow point where they take those measurements.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have every pump station in town kick on at the same time and send influent to the plant responds, and we end up with a big spike in effluent.
Okay.
And it's not a sustained 330,000 gallons.
Oh, I got it.
That's an instantaneous reading.
Okay. So that's like your absolute max because
Yes, that's the peak of the day.
So we're playing with some interesting limitations there over the next year or two. If we got 450 max.
Oh yeah, I've seen way over that on the peaks.
Mm-hmm. You have?
Yeah, in April, the plant had like 1.2 coming through the door at one point.
Whoa. Okay. Now I understand a little bit more. Thank you for educating me, Vinny.
Yeah, no problem, Phil.
Okay, anybody else have any more questions for Vinny? All right, thank you, Vinny.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to new business, the Water Master Plan Grant Scope of Work 2021, Peter.
Yeah, so I've been working with Beta to create a scope of work for the Water Master Plan grant that's been awarded for FY21 for you to review. As you know, because of COVID, the FY20 scope of work that was supposed to expire on June 30th was extended to October 30th. And we've been working with Beta over the last year and a half to work on those, on that scope of work and get those items completed, which consisted of the site plan that's been submitted to planning board and some other items that we did at the Buffinville property. So for FY21, this is going to be a short scope of work because this should be done on June 30th. So we have probably 7 or 8 months, probably only 6 months by the time we get it approved by the DEP, if you're in favor of submitting this to them for approval. So in talking to Kendra and Bob from Beta and kind of listening to the previous comments that the commission has made about how aggressively they want to move forward with the Buffinville property, we kind of have 3 different major tasks to work that we'd like to have you consider working on. The first is hopefully, again, we get the Buffinville site plan approved at the planning board and through conservation. So the next small step for that would be to put that project out to bid to have the access road actually built and get us access to the well field for the larger equipment that we need to get there is the next step. So Beta is carrying $30,000, which will allow them, again, to incorporate the comments from planning board and conservation, prepare final design plans and specifications. They'll advertise and bid the project for us, prepare addendas, create a bid tab, and attend the meetings as necessary. So that will allow us to put the project out to bid to see if there is value in the material that will be getting removed due to the cut being done at the well field, and just get us an idea of how much it would be to get that access road done in real numbers based on the true bid. So that's task 1. Task 2 is water main alternatives analysis, which is to identify 3 potential routes to convey the water from the well field to the existing water distribution system. They'll evaluate the identified water distribution routes, provide recommendation for the most feasible option, prepare and submit an alternatives analysis report, and update the water system GIS to include the recent changes in the water system. And the last task is additional site investigation based on, the discussions we've been having. This will be to review existing information pertaining to potential locations for additional wells, including regional and superficial geology. Depending on desktop review of potential well locations, drill test wells and evaluate water level data to approximate the long-term yield available at the site.
Peter, out of curiosity, I wasn't sure that we could use that beta money to do that. How did you get that through? How did you get that stipulated?
To do which portion of?
The additional well fields.
Well, it hasn't been approved yet. So again, this is
a desire. Okay, wish. Okay.
Well, so the first step is to make sure that you're on board with these tasks so that we can submit it to the DEP. And again, in talking to Kendra and Bob, as far as that task 3 and the additional site investigation, I think the DEP is they're not aggressively pursuing, but I think if we can show them that we have the opportunity to possibly purchase more land and protect it for future water development and potential public water supply for the town, they'd be willing to do that with us. Much like when we were doing Buffinville, they funded all the well drilling and the exploration there as well for that parcel. So I think not the tricky part, but I think it will be important to let them know that Buffinville, that we're not sidestepping Buffinville, that we're not looking to just forget about it. We're looking to kind of parallel this while these properties are accessible to us, while the owners are willing to allow us access to the property. And again, this will be actual drilling will depend on if Peter Newton does his engineering review and finds that there is possible water on site. So it'll be a multi-step process before we actually get out there and drill. But the one good thing about most of these tasks is they're all, I'm not going to say tabletop exercises, but they're all more engineering that can be done throughout the winter. And it's not like we have to be out in the field and have access to the properties to do so. And then again, if DEP approves this and spring comes along and there's a few spots he thinks we should drill some test wells, then we can do that in the spring before June 30th and get that information and data as well. So
I think it's a great direction to approach myself, so that we can get both off or on the table, consecutive or, or providing water. And I think we really need to come to that conclusion. So this is a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, we approach the scope as phasing it as a redundant supply investigation, which DEP likes to see anyway when it comes to water supplies, that you're not putting everything on one well field. So that may help get that approved as well.
That would be good. Thank you for your work.
Happy to help.
So if
Anybody else have any other questions?
If there's no major comments and the board supports it, I'd just ask for a motion to do so I can forward that to the DEP and let them know. I'll give them an update on what we were able to accomplish with the FY20 funds and let them know that these are the next steps we'd like to take with the FY21 funds. And hopefully
a motion to accept as written.
All right, second. Anybody second?
Well, you second it, Dave.
Okay, I'll second it. Roll call vote.
Okay, Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
4 ayes. All right. Thank you, Bob and Kendra. Thanks for your help, and I'll be in touch.
All right, that
Thank
sounds
you.
good. Thank you all.
Have a
Thank
happy
you.
Good night.
Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you.
Peter, activation of the school loop water line.
Yes. So we're finally getting to that point where the construction is, and there's enough connections with the overlook connected that they want to activate the school loop. Hopefully by the end of the year. Our current agreement with Southbridge is that if there is a water quality issue with the chlorine residual, the town of Charlton is responsible for the cost of the water blow off. We, the town of Charlton, have an agreement with Harrington Hospital or somebody in relations to Harrington Hospital with the operations to cover that cost through December 31st of 2022. Chris McClure from McClure Engineering is comfortable that with the usage from the overlook and the new residential connections, there should not be a need to activate the water blow off in the future. So I just wanted to kind of put this on your radar that we are looking to activate the school loop. Usually the water quality issue is more so in the late summer, July, August, when the groundwater temperature gets warmer. It kind of makes it harder for that chlorine residual to last because of the warmer temperature. It dissipates more quickly. So now that we're going into winter, and again, with the overlook drawing approximately 35 to 40,000 gallons per day, everyone's pretty comfortable that we're not going to have that issue through this winter. And by the time next summer comes along, there'll be enough connections and enough flow that we shouldn't have to use the blow off either. Even if we do, the agreement with the people from Harrington Hospital is in place till December 31st of 2022, so they're responsible for that cost.
Peter, can you explain, because it's before Jack my time, what that agreement is and how that came about?
Sure. So when Harrington Hospital was built at 10 North Main Street,
Yes.
that the water line was to there, and I believe they may have wanted water down at the other building. So when the town installed the water line down to the town hall, somehow they worked, and again, this was before my time as well. They worked the agreement that because the water line was going down near town hall, to activate it, there may be a requirement for a blow off. And in order to do so, in order for Harrington to get water, they had to activate that portion of the line. So that's why they assumed responsibility for it.
Peter, isn't there a blow off behind the library that was been blowing off a lot of water?
So the blow off is, I'm not sure if it's behind the library now, or if it used to be right next to the town. It's right next to the town hall. It's a hydrant up front by the parking lot. Yes.
Okay.
With a fire hose that runs out back.
Okay.
So yeah, they
So they were blowing off a lot of water, weren't they, at one point in time?
This past summer they blew off quite a bit of water. Yes. But again, that was the water temp rose. There wasn't as much usage because of COVID, so they were finding the daily flows were lower all the way right from the Mass Pikes, from the service areas, because the travel was down. So everything kind of fell into place where they ran that blow off quite a bit this summer.
So who makes that call to open that valve up and blow off water, Peter? Is that our call or is that Southbridge?
No, that's Whitewater, Southbridge, as the operator.
Okay.
So yeah, as the operator, they're responsible for the water quality right in all the lines. So they sample it and they decide when to operate that or not.
Okay. So when they're blowing off that water, we're not getting charged for it?
Well, the charge, it comes to the town of Charlton, it's billed to us, but we just pass through that bill to, I'm not sure if we pay it and we get reimbursed, or if we just pass the bill on to them and they pay it.
All right.
That was something, I think, again, Robin negotiated that like back in 2016, 2017, before I began.
So another thing with the activation of the school loop water line, Peter, is that when we're going to be sending out all those registered letters?
Yes. Yep. Once the entire loop is activated, then we will send out those certified letters to all the abutters.
Those certified return receipt requested letters, do we have a list of that, of those people, Peter, and where does that list come from?
We'll get it from the assessors.
Okay.
So we can just tell them the roads that we need, the roads and the possible street numbers for limits, because we need all of Mugget Hill Road. So it'll be pretty easy. We need all of Morton Station, all of Mugget Hill, all of Old Mugget Hill, and we'll just let them know what number to stop at for Old Worcester Road, and they can give us addresses of all the property owners. From there, we'll take those addresses, do the mailing, and Sue will have to fill out all those fancy green cards. We'll run them through the mailer and we'll send them out.
All right, great.
That wouldn't be on Kleinfelder's list that they sent us?
I think we'd want to use Board of Assessors instead, just to make sure,
Okay.
just in case, because it'll be more up to date in case a house was sold. Kleinfelder might not be updating their list as off. I think it'll be better if we get our own list from the assessors and make sure it's.
You might want to get both lists, Peter, and just kind of go over them one by one to make sure that we don't miss anybody.
We can do that.
All right, anybody else have any other questions with the activation of the school loop water line? All right, want to move on to old business? Or was that old business?
No, there's a little bit of old business, not much, just
Yeah.
for the water line construction update.
Go ahead.
So the Bay Path Pump Station, Kleinfelder continues to work on activating the Bay Path Pump Station. They're having some issues with the communication lines, the fiber lines going from the pump station to the building. Their subcontractor should be on site to remedy the problem this week and hopefully get that pump station activated and ready to go so that we can get water flowing to Bay Path. The service connections to the homes, the Albanese Brothers continues to install the service connections into the residents' basements. At this time, they have approximately 30 connections completed and waiting for the water line to be activated so the plumbing can be completed in the homes. Again, the school loop has not yet been activated, so the 1-year grace period has not begun. And that's really about it for the construction update.
All right, great. Any questions, guys? All right, moving on to other business, sorry. Nothing. All right, next meeting.
Well, I just had one thing to say. It should only take 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, perfect.
Thanksgiving.
All right, let me put some coffee on.
So your next meeting, we'll have to decide if you want to go 2 weeks to the 7th or do one meeting maybe on the 14th for the month of December.
When are we going to have SCADA data available?
I wish I had a better answer for you for that. Phil.
Probably 4 weeks realistically then, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I think December 14th would probably be the best. We can just go 3 weeks. Hopefully I can get that prioritized for some other people and get that information to you for the SCADA upgrade.
Dave, Paul, Jack, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's fine with me. Everybody else left or is on mute, one or the other.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
All right,
It's
so
fine with me as well.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
all right, so
So
plan
that's
on
that.
December 14th. Great.
Yeah, perfect. And make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
All right, perfect.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your time. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, you too. Have a great night.
Same.